This series of videos is intended to give a basic idea of what the program Maxima is and how it can be helpful. I noticed that there were only a handful of videos on YouTube for this program, and I couldn't find any that were in English, so I thought I'd make a series myself. This video is just an introduction about what is a CAS, what is Maxima, things like that. But if you want to jump right into the tutorial, you can probably skip ahead to the next video without a problem. So the first thing you want to know is, what is a CAS? CAS stands for Computer Algebra System, and it basically means that this is a program that can do algebra. Like most calculators and most calculator programs on your computer do math numerically. And they can do some pretty impressive stuff, but algebra is not numeric, it's symbolic. Like, for example, if I wanted to solve the equation x squared minus 2 equals 0. If I were to solve that using a TI-83 or a TI-84, it would plug in thousands of different numbers, all rational numbers, until it finds something that gets at least pretty darn close to 0. But a CAS program will actually solve it symbolically. It'll do it algebraically. So that means we can put in an equation and get an exact solution and not an approximation. So like a computer algebra system does math the same way that a human being does, generally speaking, except often it's much better and much faster. So let's go ahead and solve this. This will be your first Maxima command. So it solves it, and it says it's equal to negative square root of 2 or square root of 2. See, if I were to do this on a TI-83 or 84, it'd say negative, or it'd probably just give us 1. If it was a TI-83 or TI-84, it would just say 1.41 something something like that. But this one, since it's a CAS, it actually gives us an exact solution. So CAS programs are incredibly useful for many reasons, and not just for students and mathematicians. I used to work in an office, and I kept Maxima installed on my computer because I never really knew when I would need it to make a calculation, and I used it quite a bit. And the thing about CAS programs that are really nice is that you can write scripts inside of CAS programs, and a script is more or less a program, but you can't compile it, so you can only write it. You can only use it in the CAS program itself. And you can write these scripts that will do new calculations, and if you know how to use it right, it can save loads of time. Like my handheld calculator is a TI-89, which is a CAS calculator, and that thing must take 30 minutes off of every test. It is so nice. You really have absolutely no idea how incredibly useful this program can be for writing scripts if you know how to use it correctly. Sometimes you might think of a way to write a script that could not only make something faster, but essentially make it feasible and make it possible. So the two most well-known CAS programs are called Mathematica and Maple. Both of them are really great programs too. Another one is Wolfram Alpha, which would be of great interest to you if you're in a freshman or sophomore level class. In fact, I'll go ahead and write that down because it's a pretty good program, Wolfram Alpha. That's an in-browser CAS that's free. Maxima would mostly be of more interest to someone that wants to explore something a little bit further, because it's a lot more versatile than Wolfram Alpha as far as the CAS aspect goes, and you can do a lot more with it. And parenthetically, a program that is not a CAS program that you may have heard of before is MATLAB. MATLAB stands for Matrix Laboratory. It's from a company called MathWorks. MATLAB is actually a numeric calculator, but its primary purpose is for programming, which is why it's used so much in the commercial world, and it's a really nice program too. But this series of videos is not on MATLAB, so we'll go straight on to CAS programs. So why use Maxima instead of Mathematica or Maple? Well, Maxima has two really great advantages over Mathematica and Maple. First of all, it's free. Maxima is a very powerful program, and it doesn't cost a penny. Don't let that fool you into thinking it's the poor man's Mathematica, though. If it weren't free, it would still be worth a good chunk of money on its own. But the second reason, and in my opinion, this is far more important than the free part, is that it's not restricted. You don't have to deal with activation. You don't have to deal with licenses. You just install it and you go. This is a big deal to me because it's incredibly convenient. Even if Maxima weren't free, but it were still unrestricted, I would be perfectly willing to pay good money for Maxima, and just the fact that it's not restricted is a big deal to me. It's incredibly convenient. I even have Maxima installed on my thumb drive, so I can just plug it into any Windows-based computer and run it from my thumb drive, which is really handy because my university's computers don't have Maxima installed. So whenever I need to use it, I plug in my thumb drive and I use it. But on the other side of that, I've had to deal with the restrictions on MATLAB, and it's really annoying. That's what happens whenever you have software from companies like these. You have all these restrictions, and I can only have MATLAB installed on 2 different computers. I can't have it installed on more, and that's a huge restriction. But I can think of 4 separate installs of Maxima that I have, all of which I use on a regular basis. So this really is the primary reason why I use Maxima instead of Mathematica or Maple. I just don't have the patience for the restrictions. So why would you not use Maxima? What are the disadvantages of using Maxima? Well, there are 2 big disadvantages to Maxima. The first is that it's not as powerful as Mathematica or Maple. That's something that's good to come out right in the open with. I've seen Mathematica do some pretty impressive stuff that would crash Maxima because it's too intense. It's not often that I do something so intense that it crashes Maxima, but it has happened. And that's a situation where Mathematica would be better. And it's good to know that that's a limitation to Maxima. The second disadvantage of Maxima is that it's very non-standard. So Mathematica is pretty standard in the academic world, and Maple is pretty common too. Maxima is not. You're not going to find a lot of other people using it, so it can be kind of hard to share results sometimes. And sometimes people will say, here, use this Mathematica code, and you'll be frustrated. So Maxima is not faultless, but nothing is, and I think that it's still a fantastic program anyway. So where do you get Maxima? The program's web page is maxima.sourceforge.net, and don't forget the .net because .com and .org will not redirect you. You can download it from this page. If you're running a Debian-based Linux operating system like I am, here, I'll go ahead and show you this web page because I have it in Firefox right now. So here is Maxima Computer Algebra System. This is the web page, maxima.sourceforge.net. And you have the download page here. It'll redirect you to the SourceForge download page. I'll go ahead and open that up just so you can see it. And here you can choose from Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And if you're extraordinarily technological, you can compile it from source. I've never done that in my life. I have no idea what it does. So this is the main page. So this, just so you can see it. If you're running a Debian-based Linux operating system like I am, you can also get it from the Synaptic Package Manager. And if you have other, I wouldn't be surprised if it was also in repositories for non-Debian-based operating systems. And if you do get it from Synaptic, you'll also want to get the package wxMaxima. You'll notice that what I have up here is called wxMaxima. That is the GUI front end for Maxima, and it's absolutely fantastic. When I went searching for an open source CAS program, I didn't really like all the different things I was seeing until I found Maxima. And the reason why is because of wxMaxima. It's really easy to use, and it makes using a CAS program much easier because it will fill in a lot of the commands for you. wxMaxima, I'm pretty sure, comes with the standard Windows Maxima installation that you'll find from SourceForge, because I don't remember installing it separately on my Windows partition. And there is no wxMaxima for Mac OS. But there is xMaxima. It's just called xMaxima. And I've never used it. I think it's the older GUI or something. I have no idea what it's like. The command syntax, like when you actually use the commands, it will be exactly the same for wxMaxima, but the GUI front end would look completely different. And that, for the most part, the things that you actually type into the command window, that's going to be the same. But it's not going to have something like this, and this is what makes it so handy. It's not going to have the same menus up here, so it's just going to it's just going to be pretty different, but the heart of the program will still be the same. Now, regarding wxMaxima, Maxima is a command line program, and wxMaxima does not change that fact. And so is every other CAS program, at least at heart. I mean, Mathematica has a lot more GUI to it. It has a lot of different menus that you can find different things in. But even so, every CAS program is a command line program at heart. What wxMaxima does is it fills in the gaps. It creates the command syntax for you for the more basic functions. Like what I did up here, solve x squared minus 2 equals 0. I could also click on solve, and it brings up, I don't want that. It brings up a prompt where I can type in the equation. So I can say x squared minus 2 equals 0. And the variable I want to solve for is x. So I said OK, and it solves it for me. Hey, it actually has slightly different command syntax than I did. That's interesting. So you can see all these different kinds of things here from this general math. This general math is from let's see, it's from the panes. General math is one of them, but there's also other things up here. There's algebra. There's some matrix stuff here. There's some calculus stuff here. Simplify stuff. Plotting is also down here though, and then so I have no idea what this is. Oh, okay, I've never actually looked at that menu before. It has some interesting stuff. Let's see. Oh, you know, there's some sub menus here. It's got quite a lot of stuff, and that's part of the reason it even has Laplace transform. I never noticed that. So it has a lot of different things that this makes this so convenient. That's why I like wxMaxima. That's why I like Maxima as a whole, because wxMaxima is so convenient. Now, eventually, you may get to the point where you don't need these anymore. I use them less and less as I go on, because I'm so used to the commands that I just type them in directly. But even so, this is what it's so convenient. That's what makes it usable. It's what makes it human usable, I guess you might say, instead of programmer usable. Not that programmers aren't humans. I just realized that was not a tactful way to put that. So let's go back to this web page. While you're at this web page, you might want to get a PDF file of the full manual. So you go to documentation, and then, well, if you're watching this video, you probably speak English, but if you want to get it in German, Spanish, there's also these things, but they're not PDF versions. The thing is, the PDF file of the full manual is an exhaustive reference. You know, these videos, they're not exhaustive, because if they were, they would be weeks long. So there's also some tutorials down here, but hopefully by the time you're done with these videos, you will be able to use Maxima well enough and without needing those tutorials. But you know, I'm sure they've got a lot of good stuff in there too. So point being, you might want to get the PDF file, because it has the full reference for all the different commands you can use. Like wxMaxima does not have every single command that Maxima can do. It has a lot of other stuff, and you'll want to see that stuff. It's pretty well written. It's pretty easy to understand, and it's long. Let's see how many pages it is. It's 1,000 pages, exactly 1,000 pages, and the nice thing about it is, see, you can see that the word points is highlighted. The reason why I use is wxMaxima actually has the manual built into it and the help, and there's tutorials down here too. I never noticed that either, but I never really cared for it, because with the PDF file, I can search for anything I want. So if I want to search for, let's see how this works. If I can find a staircase plot, I misspelled staircase. Staircase. So I can do a staircase plot. which is I've done that in one class ever. It's not that common, but it's still kind of cool. So the bottom line is that the PDF file is really handy. So that concludes the introductory material. In the next video, I will go into some basic things about using Maxima.